So, welcome everybody to another episode of the INTUNE podcast with myself, Ashley Velvet Frost, and today a wonderful guest, Sherise, who is fitting into let's say, the alpha and the delta frequencies of INTUNE, so the body and also spirituality. So, Sherise is a movement coach and transformational coach who is a previous dancer and is now utilizing the magic of her dancing and movement skills with the more holistic, shamanistic, spiritual methods and coaching people to be more connected to their body. And yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. Sherise is also a dear sister of mine from my mandalas as well. So it's even more wonderful to be having her here. So welcome, love.
So much, and thank you for your awesome introduction.
Of course. I mean, yeah, it says itself. You're the one who's living it and breathing it. And I can't wait to dive into everything that is movement, embodiment, healing, and all of these things. There's a lot of topics I think may be very new for people as well.
Yeah.
So would you maybe like to just give a little introduction as to who you are and your journey and how you found yourself here today as a transformational coach?
Yes, of course. Who am I? Well, I'm Sherise, and I've always been dancing. I started dancing when I was 3, and I always enjoyed it. I never understood that it could be your profession as well, which I think I figured out when I was 16. I was like, oh my God, this is possible. So I started investing more, going more to courses, and eventually did the education. And although I enjoyed it and loved it, and it was a lot about yourself and exploring yourself, I also missed like a big aspect, but for me was the energy aspect, as it was really the Western way of approaching it, which makes sense because I studied here in the Netherlands. But I missed the whole energy aspect, as for me, dance is really about understanding energy and giving, and so playing with it also when you perform. So after my graduation, I actually went through a depression, and I figured I needed to do something, and I didn't like the whole psychologist stuff that didn't work for me. Didn't work for me. So I decided to travel, and I went to Nepal. And I was there for like 6 weeks all by myself in the middle of a depression. And I just traveled around and just sniffed up the culture, and I did a Vipassana, which is a 10-day meditation course. You meditate about 10 hours a day, which was maybe not the smartest thing to do, but it gave me so many insights and so much clarity about myself and also about my whole inner world. And a lot of I had like a lot of aha moments about my life and about what was moving through me and how to support myself with that. So coming back to the Netherlands, I came back into my whole depression as I felt it lifted when I was there, and coming back in my normal surroundings, it was just dark again, let's say. So I started investing in myself. I started with Reiki, which is a hands-on healing technique. And I felt I slowly started understanding how energy can move us and also heal us, and how powerful we actually are. And with that, I was still dancing at this point, or like a lot dancing. And I started researching on how to combine the dance and the healing parts together. But I didn't have a clear vision or plan at all. So I left it also behind. I started going dancing and performing and la 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 la. And then at some point I wrote like this plan to invest in a lot of healing modalities just for understanding and see how they connected to dance and movement and how I could connect them. And then at some point I traveled through India, did a lot of courses and things there. I was supposed to go to China, but then COVID happened. And I did a shamanic course. So a lot of courses, a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. But a lot of healing and a lot of understanding about the body and how powerful the mind is and how we can influence it all and how powerful we are. Yeah, I think that's my journey in a nutshell, how it brought me here.
Amazing. I'm making notes because there's so many things. I'm just we're going to unpack all of this. And at the moment, what is it, the offering that you're bringing, which is movement medicine, medicine is movement. Tell me a little bit more about how this came to be, because I know that there's other people involved also that believe in this as well. So
Yeah. Movement medicine I created together with my sister. She's also dancing, also healing. And really from the urge that healing or movement can be so healing and so powerful. And we see movement, I mean, we both have a dance background, so it's a lot about moving in a free way, embodied movement, in just feeling and needing what's there and how to transmute the energy and find ways to like, so let me get it clear. So we can see, like, I think we can see energy, or I feel we can see energy. It's something that's moving through us, and also the emotions are moving through us. But then when something is not really moved through, it gets stagnant in the body. Let's say it's becoming like an ice cube. And in order for us to move that energy again, we need to melt that ice cube. So in order to do that, we need to move our bodies. And this can be going to the gym, this can be yoga, but we are now, like, we are using dance and more dance techniques. But it's not about doing the dance routine or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it starts flowing again, and also to become aware what's there and what's present.
Yeah. I think this is something really to unpack, because for a lot of people, that the concept of energy in itself, which we understand to be emotions, but how can somebody even tell that they have a block before even the concept of going into dance? Because I remember, and this may be because I'm Northern European, like we don't dance that often. I know there's like more Latin countries that people are much more flowy, but I mean, I'm British and I also lived in Germany, and it's a very, like, there's no communal dancing. It's, if you do dance, it's like a ballet class or it's something that's very structured and there's not much improvisation. So yeah, I mean, yeah, how does someone even start to move their body?
It can be super simple. Just put on your favorite song and just start moving. And if it feels strange, just imagine you're in a club. I mean, we all know this, like, yeah, I think we can all dance, and we're all able to dance, and it doesn't have to look pretty or good, or it can be super silly, but just in order to feel your energy moving again. So it's just doing it, actually, I think.
Yeah, I've noticed a surprising trend in the last couple of years with TikTok, because really when I was younger, and I think we're around the same age, like we didn't really do much dancing when you're younger. And now suddenly all this choreography and things are coming back into the public. But again, it feels very rigid because it's like a routine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like some people just are very maybe fearful to just go with improvisation. And how can someone maybe get past the feeling of looking a bit silly, even if they're just doing it to themselves?
I think the key is starting small, because I think it's good to win, to have these wins, right? So if you start super small, and if it feels super scary and super fearful, you can even start with like moving your fingers, and it sounds super silly and super stupid, but it's like this small win, and just catching movement with your fingers, and then you can like involve or include your arm, and so you can like, you can also use another body part. Maybe fingers feel super silly, but like just choose one body part and see how you can move it, and then you can expand and like use other body parts slowly as well, as it's like a little step. Or you can just start with like shaking, like super simple, like shaking to the beat, and then I guess when you're feeling it, there's like movement coming as well, right? So when you start shaking and it's like super nice song, and maybe you want to throw your hair, maybe you want to go. So yeah, it's just like it's about stepping in the uncomfortable, right? But then making it comfortable, and then you have like your new normal. Yeah.
There's something really to be said about the shaking. I remember doing an Osho meditation before, that you do like 15 minutes of just pure shaking. And that in itself, like one morning I did it and I just needed to cry. It's like, it really unlocks things that you're just like, wow, I didn't even know that this was stored inside of me. I think
Yeah.
that can quite often happen with dance. Like I always know that there's this image of dancers that you have to be a professional, you have to be perfect, you have to be, I mean, I've seen you dance, you and your sister are exquisite dancers, and I've danced with you like for fun, and I'm just like, how I cannot get anywhere close to this. So it's, yeah, really, like for beginners, and I guess, do you have any beginners who come and join you on your course? Like, how do you kind of set the scene for them to get started?
How do you set the scene? Well, it started creating a safe space, and people need to be seen. And although it's super scary to be seen, it's super important. And as soon as that that lands, that clicks, then it's just about repetition. So the shaking can be also super scary and super weird, and it's not normal. We're not used to it, right? But then how more we do it, how easier it gets, and then slowly you feel the benefits. And also, especially when it's the first time or you're not used to it, actually it's better to do it longer. So the 15 minutes, which feels like a huge stretch, is mostly better than just do it 30 seconds, because after some minutes you will go over your own barrier and you can just go, and then you start enjoying it, or you start feeling it, and that's where you want to go. But yeah, the safe space is the most important, I think, because as soon as that's there, then there's something possible. There's like healing possible, and then you start trusting yourself.
So would it be safe to say that for a lot of people, this would probably start like in their bedroom or somewhere where the curtains drawn so no one can see them, because it's really the baby steps of feeling comfortable with yourself before other people see you?
Yeah, definitely. Start small. Just a dark room. Sometimes even in daylight, it can feel scary. Just start in the dark.
Yeah.
Put the lights. Close your eyes. Also very good. Close your eyes so you don't see yourself, not in the mirrors, not in the windows, nowhere, and just feel it. And it can be super small. You don't even have to see it from the outside. If you just like feel the music and you're just swaying around, that can be the first step.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. And is there any other process or method that you use with your sister within this movement medicine program, or how you work with people that's maybe interesting for people to hear about?
We use a lot. We both studied a lot, and we are trying to combine everything we know, but then also, of course, everything in the end, I think all the healing modalities have the same base, right? It's the same knowledge, but then in a different way. So we just use what we find interesting in combination with movement and dance. But she did the emotional code, tot inner child healing, till I don't know, like more trauma related stuff. And I'm really into the shamanic healing and the energy hands-on healing. But then with that, there's a lot of knowledge. So we're combining it all and finding ways. And we also really tapping into the group. What is the group? What do they need? And how can we support them? So it's a mixture of both. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, of course. And is the program that you run, is it in person or is this also online?
It's online now, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how does that work in terms of the structure that you do, the classes? Like, what's the process?
It's we started first just giving workshops just in like studio spaces and in person, but at some point with all the restrictions, the lockdowns, we had to also find new ways, and we have been testing a lot, and it's still working. Like energy work and coaching, etc., is of course working, but also movement, we can still see you. And everyone's going in their own zone, so it's not about all of us watching each other. It's about it's still about yourself and about your safe space. And before we start like the whole program, we create a safe space and we invite like all the different directions and stuff like that, so it's becoming safe and sacred, and protected as well. But the program is really knowledge based, and then there's the integration, which we see as the movement. So we start with the knowledge and how things work, and depends on the group level, of course, but we start like super basic, also because I think repetition is super important. Doesn't matter how far you are, the basics are always super important. And then we include like a little meditation, visualization, and the movement in order to integrate everything.
Yeah. And you've mentioned, so the first part of this is the knowledge, which is more the shamanism aspect. Now, for a lot of people, they'll be like, what the hell is shamanism? What does that mean? And imagine it's somebody who really has never heard of this before. How would you describe that element of the work you do? And I know it's a very subjective description, but it's very important.
Well, shamanism is really connected to nature. For me, it's really connected to nature and the elements. And that's like, even like we work also with spirit animals, so it's to animals, it's nature, it's fire, earth, water, everything. And it's really for me tapping into your energy field and see what's there, like what's like, you can tap in like old traumas and see what's there, and like give them more light and taking the darkness out and give it to the fire, like literally, but
Mhm.
also travel back to past lives. It's really about seeing the person, the body, and then seeing the energy field, and then that's also connected to past lives, and see what's happening there and how we can give it more light in order to transmute and heal. And healing doesn't necessarily have to mean like your disease is gone and we are like fully 100% happy humans and nothing can come back. But there's always there's these trigger points in your energy field, and the trigger points are super important to give space and to heal in order for us to feel more safe and healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also other elements in terms of what kind of exercises does that mean when you're going into shamanism? Because again, like if you talk about like past lives and past trauma and things like this, it's like sometimes I try to explain things like if my mum was listening and how, like for her to try and understand. So yeah, what can you say for that aspect as well?
Ooh. Yeah, it sounds maybe hokey pokey, hooky pooky, but it's somehow it's also really simple, and it's something we all have, right? So we all have an intuition, and we all can feel when something is right or wrong, and in shamanism, it's maybe more connecting to your third eye, your visualization, and seeing what's there and connect with that, and then. For example, when you go to past lives, it's still in your energy field, and your energy field is just around your body, right? So it's still present there, and with that, it's imprinted in you. So it's for me, I can connect to that and then see what happened there, and that can be a healing point of this life. But it's big and it's huge, and there are like so many aspects. So it's hard.
That covered it though for sure. Like the visualization aspect, and there's something that really I know every person on this planet can connect to nature.
Yeah.
That is something that we see it when we look at sunsets. We see it when we're by the ocean or we are near water. We even by a swimming pool, you can connect to it. So, and I mean, we've even gone walking in the forest together. So there's like, it can be very, very simple. And I think we like to think we're modern humans who are in technology and always connected to like the electricity and things like that. But it is even just going into nature and looking at animals, you would begin to tap into that Mother Earth, the sun, the connection with nature as well. So I think it's quite, it can be quite applicable for everybody, even if it sounds like a very far away concept. But yeah,
nature is so healing, and we forget that, I think. Yeah. It's just a different vibration, but also it's a vibration we all have in ourselves. So being always in homes and houses and surrounded by technology, well, it's a different vibration, so it's also a different feeling for ourselves. So yeah, going to nature once a day would be amazing, just to feel that.
Yeah, of course. And I'm thinking into how you integrate movement into your day, because well, it's easy to guide other people sometimes, and I know that you used to be a dancer. How does it show up for you in your regular routine and healing practice?
I always start my mornings with movement, and this can be different every day. Depends on how I feel. Sometimes I start with shaking, sometimes just with free flowing, like dance wise. Sometimes it's yoga, but I'm trying to move every morning as I feel like it's shifting something in my body. And then I go to my meditation and my journaling and all of that. But movement is the first thing I do. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then when something is stuck, like an emotion, or I feel like a bit funky or strange or whatever, then I try to move again, which is sometimes harder, right? Because sometimes we're also like, humans are also, they want to stay in this feeling, although it feels wrong and not nice. We're staying in this feeling, or we're creating the stories to stay there. But actually trying to switch that and go to movement is like a switch again in your energy.
Yeah, it's like we're addicted to, I like to call it stewing. Like we're really like someone crossed you and you're like, oh, like I'm so annoyed with them. I just want to sit in this feeling. And it's actually like, no, like our body just wants to naturally align back to a baseline frequency. It's not like necessarily good or bad. It's like just that's trying to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that there's so many instances in normal life if people have like disagreements with colleagues or someone cuts you up in traffic or something, like the best thing to do is to move, because
Yeah.
that's otherwise that anger and that kind of annoyance is building up so much inside.
It's what animals do when an animal is like has fear or stressful. A dog shakes like immediately after.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's supernatural actually.
Yeah, it's like another form of emotional release. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent of emotional release. I've lived a life of trapped emotions and now experiencing what it's like to allow things to process through. And yes, you can go scream at a pillow or you can also dance. And it's sometimes a bit more of a healthy or constructive way. Like you can even sneakily dance. Like if you need to go like stand in a cupboard in your supply closet and just like shake a bit just to like let things come out.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be more socially acceptable, I feel, to
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it was part of like many cultures to dance, or like women coming together and having these circles, like even witches, and like dance and move. So I think it's like in almost all cultures. So it's just us society building houses and the whole technology part, and that's how we lost it, and the whole community part. So although it feels sometimes maybe far away, it's actually super close to us and close to our nature.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's a wonder how we've got to this point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
still hope. I definitely feel that as well.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I want to ask you, how is it working and running a business with your sister, who's also one of your closest friends, because you're working so close together? How has that journey been also?
It's actually good and pretty easeful. We also worked a lot together as dancers, and then we were both younger, so there was a bit more fighting and yelling and screaming. But now I can say we found like a flow. And of course, there's still like irritations and points and la 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 la. But we can communicate easily with each other. So also when there's like feedback or something that doesn't feel nice, it's easy, or it feels easy to say, and we know each other like super well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it flows naturally.
Good. Yeah. Because one of the other frequencies for InTune, which is theta, is direction. So like working your purpose, your passion, following your dharma, all of those aspects. So in that included is entrepreneurship. So especially for people who are in the healing arts, combining, it's so beautiful that you can do this together as a partnership also, because it can be a very lonely journey into
Yeah.
entrepreneurship alone for sure. And is there any other trainings or things that you're looking into at the moment? I believe there's extra courses and things you're doing. So I'm very curious to hear what those are about.
Yeah, I'm in two courses actually. I'm doing integrative healing, which is really about, for me at least, it's about understanding myself on a deeper level and diving deep again. I feel it's super important to be in like these containers and just evolve and expand and understand myself. And there's like always layers you can peel off, right? So that's just really for me and for my own healing and for my own limited beliefs. And then I'm doing the Vita coaching, which is a sex, love, relationship coaching education with Leila Martin, really tantra based, but also super deep healing, and really about in finding pleasure in life, in all ways you can see. Yeah.
And what brings you pleasure in life at the moment?
At the moment, well, I'm super giggy. So when I can learn something which I find interesting, I'm like, oh, this is what I need to do. So like studying brings a lot of pleasure. Walking in nature, just enjoying with friends, like the simple things. Actually, I enjoy the simple, small things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really love the integrative healing course that you're doing, because it's so aligned with InTune. It is really the holistic overview of your life and empowering you to be your own healer. Because we all have this is that every person I'm interviewing is empowering people to realize their own healing abilities, and really moving away from, you don't need medicine, you don't need, like, I'm not against it, and I really believe in like allied health. So having if you need medication, if you need traditional work, body work, spiritual work, emotional work, put it all together. It's like the holistic soup that is the healing method. But yeah, the course that Hannah's doing, I would love also to have her as a guest, because she's doing such amazing work, especially for women in this field as well.
Yeah, it's such a shame. We give so much power away. Just like when we have something, we go to the doctor, we go to the dentist, we go to whoever, but we're never looking within, and we can truly understand ourselves if you take the time, and if you take the time to connect and feel. And again, I'm also not against medicine. It's or like Western medicine. It can be really great, and yeah, it's a great way also sometimes of killing like the viruses and etc. But I also think we can heal way more than we think.
Yeah, we have like so much power inside our body, even just like in the tip of our fingertip. There's like so much energy in there. Like you probably light up a nuclear plant or something. It's like we really don't take that seriously at times.
No.
And I'm curious if there's ever been along this path, let's say your healing journey, one of the like big aha moments when things really like shifted for you.
I think this sounds maybe stupid, but like there was like this point where I started believing like, okay, I can heal everything and I can heal myself. And since I was like a child, I was allergic to cats, like a super stupid example. And my mom has 2 cats, and I always went there, and then I had like all this rash and like irritation in my face. And then at some point I was like, okay, but if I really truly believe this, and I believe that everyone can heal themselves, I should also do it or apply it in my own life, right? So at that point I was like, okay, next time when I go to my mom, I will not get any allergic reaction. And since then I didn't got it actually. And this is super easy example. But it starts with that, right? It starts with the small things and feeling these wins, and then you can apply it in the bigger things. And for me, like being allergic to cats, there wasn't really a limited belief or anything behind it. So it was super easy to just apply, think it, and do it. And sometimes it takes more work, but that was like the biggest aha moment of like, oh yeah, it can be this simple. I just really need to believe it and put myself behind it.
Yeah, the limiting beliefs, it's like you say, something you're not emotionally attached to, then it's kind of, okay, that's easy to change. And the second it's something that's like, but this means so much of my character, and I've gone with this story my whole life, and I am this identity. It's like, no, like shift your paradigm. It's okay to believe something else. It's very, yeah, man, limiting beliefs. This is in the first module of INTUNE. It's the mindset. This is the shifting your paradigms, and you do this in integrative healing as well. It's all around, like, if you can change what you think about yourself, then that changes your vibration, changes your habits, changes your results, changes your environment, everything that you see. Yeah,
you can change everything.
Limiting beliefs, man.
Super interesting. Super interesting.
And is this maybe it's a bit of a raw question? What's the main limiting belief that you have been overcoming, or you've been shifting since you've been on this journey?
I think the main one is connected to money and not feeling worthy of it. And it was not that clear in my head. It's not like I'm not worthy of money and that's it. So it's like it is super deep. But it really started to get more to the surface when I started to build my own business and started with the healing sessions and stuff. As I started my sessions for 40 euros an hour, which is like almost nothing. And for me, I used the excuse because I said like healing needs to be for everyone. Everyone needs to be able to pay it. And I still believe this. And I still stand for that. But also I need to step into my own words in order to feel good when I give a healing session and feel the energy exchange working. So I think the money aspect is one of my biggest working points still.
Thank you for sharing. This is a trend, if we call it a trend, but I feel also amongst women where it's like asking for your worth, because by nature we are giving, nurturing, wanting to help people, and then it's like, oh, but like I should be giving this for free because it's like it's my own skills, ability, intuition that's actually doing a lot of the space holding. But then yeah, it's also being like, yeah, but I have also invested a lot of time, money into having all of this knowledge. I also need to be in a good position to hold the space for people. So yeah, a
Yeah,
healer has to fill their cup first, otherwise they can't hold space for others. It's
exactly.
yeah, yeah. I
It's
feel you
super
with that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're so somehow as women we're so not used to also nourish yourself, right? It's like we're always taking care of everyone else first. Well, not everyone, not always, but it's like in the system in society, let's say. So it's so important, I think, to shift that and start taking care of yourself first, and then with that energy and with the filled cup, you can help others. And this is not only work-wise; it's just also life-wise.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I've noticed, I mean, so from the women's circles that you and I are also part of, this starting to get in tune with like cyclical living as a woman, with your cycles, with honoring the rest. Yeah. Have you always done that? Or when did you start tuning into, let's say, your natural body as well? Because there's
Mm,
also the different archetypes of the parts of your month, your season, however you
yeah.
want to call that with the female hormone cycle. It's also very spiritual in a sense.
Yeah, it is. Cool. I think I really started during the first lockdown, because before I was still dancing like super intensely, and how I experience the dance world is just going, and it doesn't matter if you bleed, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not always like this. I'm super harsh right now, but most of the time it's really about just going, and well, no one will care if you are on your bleed, and if you feel a bit like shaky or whatever, you just have to do it, right? Um, so I did know about it, but I never really applied it because it was not really possible, or I didn't feel it was possible. But then during the lockdowns, I mean, I didn't have like work or anything going on, or not dance wise at least. So it was really easy to figure out how my body really worked and how I could apply that, and how that also ripples on, and like, I don't know, my creativity and how I feel and everything. So yeah, not that long really tuning in with my cycles and my rest and what I need, but it feels so much better. It's a life changer, at least for me.
Would you have any advice? I guess we were all very lucky with the lockdown because life paused. I think for majority of the world, we all got to sit, look at our shadows, have a lot of stuff come up, a lot of transformation began for people. But if there's people who are still living or working in a routine that doesn't allow for honoring their cycle, is there any, I know this is not necessarily your forte, but um, if there's any way that someone can still do that, if they're, say, a dancer who has to show up every day, has to show up for calls and auditions and rehearse until midnight for preparing for shows and stuff, how they could try to honor their woman cycle as well.
It's a hard one. I never figured out myself.
Mm.
But I also think it starts within your head, right? And I didn't apply that. I wasn't there then. But I think because I also had a dance project last September, I think, and that was totally fine. I was even just working with men, actually. I was just like, well, today and tomorrow I'm just a bit more quiet and in my own
Mhm.
world, and that was fine. So it's also about voicing it, actually. And I
Yeah.
never dared it then. But it's about communicating your needs, and with that, people can respect that and react, or well, the opposite. But then at least you are in your power and you said so, and then it's, well, first them and then you, what you do with it.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
think the more that people understand and are educated about how the cycle works, and I mean, it's almost my personal agenda. I feel like all previous partners and all people who come into my life have definitely heard the word "my bleed," and they're like, "I'm so triggered," and I'm like, "Well, time to get untriggered, sir. It's a natural process and very much part of how life comes to be." So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I really foresee and hope and want there to be proper classes that teach about the cycles, and not just this is what periods are, and if you have bad periods then just take medication or take paracetamol and all of these things. It's yeah,
Yeah, it's still such a taboo, like the whole period, but also sex and everything,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Is
I
there
know.
any kind of embodiment practice you'd suggest if someone is on their bleed?
Mm. Well, first of all, just listen to your body. Mostly it's just like super gentle and soft.
Mhm.
I like to, I still move. I still move, but super soft and gentle, maybe more into my feminine instead of like going for shaking or whatever, or like something like yin yoga, but all breathing and letting go and surrender more into that. Yeah.
Mm. And if you were in your opposite side of the cycle, so the like the yang, the like you're ovulating or you're feeling the like go for life, like what kind of music would you listen to normally then? Or if your favorite kind of songs for that time?
It's more like drums and stuff like that for the shaking, and for the going, it's more active. It's yeah, more drum based, or yeah. I think so. Really, my music taste is like all over the place.
I can
But
imagine. Yeah. I always hate that question actually. People are like, what's your favorite kind of music? I'm
I'm
like,
like,
let me just omit the stuff I don't listen to, and then you get a broader picture of like what I listen
yeah,
to. Like, I think someone would look at Spotify and be like, is this person has very broad tastes, very like
yeah, yeah. But yeah, more upbeat. That's yeah.
perfect. Okay, well, I'm curious as to like what kind of people come and work with you. What kind of things are they suffering with or feeling or desiring, like your ideal soul clients, so to say?
Mm, I think my ideal soul client. It's just I think it's someone that's ready to work on themselves, and that doesn't mean that it's not hard, and that it doesn't feel hard, and that sometimes you think like, oh, not sure if I want to go or do this again, but just being ready to work on it, although there might be like dark shit coming up.
Mhm.
But yeah, working on everything like depressions, mental health, physical stuff. Yeah, yeah, I feel like everything is connected. So everything is with it. I can heal. It's not me healing. It's like you doing the work. And although I'm in your energy field, it's still you healing and doing the job.
Mhm.
Um, so
I
yeah.
really like that. The concept also you mentioned earlier, like you can just move your hand. So it's not like you don't need to be able-bodied, so to say, to do this. Like you can, anybody can do
Yeah.
embodiment, even if you only have function of certain parts of your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also really important. It's not
Yeah.
excluding of anything either.
Yeah, I also gave a workshop, and there were a lot of girls in wheelchairs actually, and it was an
Mm,
embodiment workshop, which was interesting because I also had to adapt.
yeah.
But it's still working, and it's still shifting and moving. So yeah, it's not about being perfect or the best human or
Mhm.
whatever, or like having the best body in order to move. Everyone can, like
Yeah.
literally everyone.
I remember doing when I was learning my emotional release course and they were teaching the classic like pillow pounding. And it's not about how strong you do it. It's like you can, because some people may have neck issues or whiplash, like it's actually it's the intention you're bringing. So you could very like at the slowest slow-mo if you wanted to hit the pillows. And it's if you're bringing the intention of trying to release something, it will still happen. But everyone likes to think, I need to scream really loud or I need to punch. And it's like, actually, that's kind of counterintuitive because you're just focusing on like the exertion of the energy as opposed to the emotion.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that was also a big aha moment actually, because when I started doing more courses, sometimes we got like exercises, and we also do this exercise in the dance field, but then we're not aware of well, it's a different intention.
Mhm.
And then doing the same exercise like in a healing environment, as I did in my dance environment, and just having like a total different like experience and a healing aspect in it. I was like, it's really about intention. And as soon as we start like using intention, we can, well, it's yeah,
Yeah.
heals. It's yeah.
I mean, it comes full circle to what you said before.
Yeah,
It's slowing down, actually. Like, I
yeah,
really think the slower you do it, then the more you'll feel. It's,
exactly.
yeah, that's like
Yeah,
a good motto for life, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Attempt to suppress and not feel.
yeah. So I will obviously add all of your socials and connections, but how is the best way for people to find you and what kind of program is it that you're offering at the moment? So the containers.
Best way would be Instagram, just my personal account of Movement Medicine. And the program we're launching now is a 3-month program, really moving through understanding yourself and your fears, and transmit them into feeling more free in your body. And as I said before, it's really about understanding, like knowledge-based and then body-wise as well. Yeah, it will be a beautiful container in which we will look at into our dark places, but also light places, and shine ourselves, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I also want to thank your guest who sat on your lap for being very well behaved and not barking at all throughout this, absorbing the chill energy. Well, love, I want to thank you. Is there any other questions or anything else that's come up for you that's resonating at all?
No, just thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm so glad I got to ask you all these questions. Okay, well, I'm going to thank everyone else also for joining, for listening, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Until then.